Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of RichardMetalFan Interviews. This is episode number 30, and I can't believe we're at the 30th episode, 30th interview. And before any of you ask, yes, I shaved my beard off a little over a week and a half ago, but you could tell it's coming back slowly, but that's besides the point. Today's guest, we're talking to none other than Gabe Mangold. Gabe Mangold is the guitarist for the Washington-based deathcore band Enterprise Earth. We're going to be talking about their new album called The Chosen, which comes out January 14th. Sort of like the whole writing and recording process of that, pretty much the evolution of their sound, and and pretty much with the deathcore genre itself, and much more. So, without further ado, let's go talk to Gabe. Okay, and action. So what's up, guys? I am here with Bleh. That was my bad. I started.
Great start. Keep that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try it again. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was my fault. I fumbled. Let's try it again. So what's up, guys? I'm here with Gabe Mangold from Enterprise Earth. Gabe, how are you doing today?
Good. Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. So we're here to talk about your new album, The Chosen, which comes out January 14th. Can you talk about like the whole writing and recording process of that and how it all came to be and all that good stuff?
Yeah. So this album, the writing started in the summer of 2019, and a lot of it was written back then. We wanted to release it at the end of that year or last year, but obviously pandemic, state of the world stuff pushed things back. But it was a lot of fun because this was like the first full length that we've done, like totally self-produced. Everything was like recorded, mixed, produced, done inside like my tiny home, like trailer studio, with the exception of drums done in Florida with Jason Sukoff. But yeah, it was a really fun, natural, fluid experience. A lot of work, but a lot of fun at the same time.
All right. And of course, last year you dropped the Foundation of Bones EP. Was that sort of like a little preview or of like what would be expected to hear on The Chosen, or this was that kind of like just a one-off kind of thing?
A little bit of both. Foundation of Bones, the song, was actually a part of the batch of the Chosen songs that we had ready. But when everything happened, we are like, hey, let's just do, one song, some covers, and acoustic version, just to, do what we can despite the state of the world. And so yeah, it was a one-off, but it was also kind of like a tie-in to what the Chosen might be, because you have Foundation of Bones, which is a pretty aggressive, straightforward track, and then we have like an acoustic version of There's No Tomorrow where Dan's singing like a little angel, and and that the Chosen is up and down like that too, lots of peaks and valleys and dynamics.
All right. And would you consider The Chosen to be kind of like picking up where you left off after Luciferus, or do you consider this kind of like a new beginning for Enterprise Earth in a way?
Feels like a new beginning, or rather a better way of putting it would probably be like an evolution, a maturation, a very natural maturation of our sound and our progression as musicians and people.
Oh, all right. And then with the singles that you dropped so far, like Where Dreams Are Broken and Reanimate, Disintegrate, Great, and Legends Never Die, is that almost kind of like a clear representation of what The Chosen is going to sound like, or is there a lot more to be discovered?
There's a lot more. Like every single song on this album has its own like fingerprint and identity and vibe, and the three singles we've put out have been pretty different from one another, I would say. And that's I guess we were trying to, with those singles, and we have one more single we're going to put out before the album comes out. It's kind of, we wanted to pick songs that kind of cover the whole broad spectrum of what this album is, and yeah, there's something different on every single song. So nothing really gets stale.
All right, so I'm guessing there's like different things that pretty much like the fans will be surprised with this album.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's like surprising, but it's also like we didn't lose what makes us us. It's still heavy, it's still aggressive. We've just expanded into a lot of new territories and experimented with a lot of new things.
All right, so it's just like a perfect evolution. You're just not like making the same thing.
No, yeah, it's definitely not the same thing. So
yeah, yeah, especially with like Dan singing. I just think that love his voice. Like with him singing, did you ever have to like adjust like your guitar playing depending on sort of like the different vocal style that he brings to the table with this new album?
Not really. It's just and like Dan's always had like those voices inside of him, especially his singing and stuff. It's just never been like the right time to do it in Enterprise. And when I was writing these songs, I was keeping his broad vocal range in mind, and whenever we wrote some songs, his voice just naturally fit over all these parts, and yeah, it was very natural, and didn't have to force anything. So, which is very important when you're doing stuff like that.
All right, and apparently with this new style that you guys are bringing, does this sort of like open doors for like new music in like the future?
Yeah, I hope so. Because we'll always be a heavy band, but we don't want to be pinned down to this obscure niche of metal that we're in. Not as much as I love this obscure niche of metal that we're in, and I always will. And it's not something that we do to like. It's not like, oh, we're trying to expand and sell out. I hate it when people say that term anyway,
I
but
hate
it's
it
like
too.
it's just like like people say that anytime a band gets bigger, and it's like it's like we're all just trying to have a good time and grow as careers, professionally and personally, and it's like people just want people to suffer in the depths of music forever, and it's like it doesn't make any sense to me. But
Yeah,
regardless of all that, we stand behind everything we write on this album and everything we've done, like 110%. And
yeah,
that's anyone that's questioning what we do, I would just say, we're behind it 100%. So
yeah.
don't worry.
Yeah, and I agree. And I always hate the term selling out. Like when a band like experiments, it's like almost kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like if you try to expand or try to do something different, or like, oh, these guys are, it doesn't sound like the same, or if they keep making the same stuff, it's like, oh, these guys are repetitive.
People just like talking shit. That's it feels like, especially in metal, it's like people like talking shit. The fans, quote unquote fans, like talking shit the most, and it's like, what's wrong with you? But it's like a catch-22, because it's like, I feel like in metal we also have like the most fierce and loyal fans at the same time, but they're also like so quick to like just say shit online. I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you guys are really doing pushing the boundaries, especially with deathcore. I feel like in the last few years, like death, like it's pretty much evolved. Like look at newer bands like Lorna Shore and of course Shadow
Oh yeah,
of Ten are killing it. And even
yeah.
like Fit for an Autopsy, who you guys are going to
Mhm.
tour with soon is. I think it's just pushing boundaries. I just think that
Oh yeah.
deathcore core has definitely evolved, and especially I think there's going to be a sub genre of deathcore coming soon.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see the genre evolving. It's not just it's not just like Suicide Silence, All Shall Perish, Whitechapel in the mid 2000s, that kind of like very sceney niche thing. It's expanded, and it's taken on, it's being able to take on other genres of music and other styles. So it's very beautiful to see it evolve, and people that are afraid of change, are just going to get left in the dust in the past. So
Yeah. All right, and obviously, since you mentioned like since Lucifer Ferris, like the world has changed like a lot in the last few years with like the pandemic and shit with like, was there like a lot of like the darkness and sort of like the awareness of the world that was like channeled into this album?
kind of, but it wasn't like, that wasn't like a major factor. Like, we would have written this album and it would have come out this way, regardless of that stuff. But at the same time, the whole pandemic state of the world thing kind of pushed us. It also, it was a lot of silver linings for us, because it gave us the time to put all the time and energy into this album where we wouldn't have had the time to do it before, if we were still like touring full time and all that. So
All right, and sort of like with going to sort of like the live setting, like when you're playing live, is there like a similar energy as to when recording, or is there or like recording and tour playing live are completely separate?
yeah, they're definitely different animals. The thing with the studio is, you can do things, you can take as many takes as you want, you can, punch stuff in, you can copy paste, you can manipulate sounds, you can do all that fun stuff, but then bringing it to the live, bringing it to the stage is where it all comes together, and like that's where the energy is. So yeah, two different animals, but both of them I very much enjoy.
All right. And as somebody that has seen you live, I've seen Enterprise Earth now 7 times. Like I remember
Hell
first,
yeah.
like I
Hell
remember
yeah.
the 2 times was before you were in the band. Like I first saw them play at this tiny little club called Swayze's back in 2015 before they even like
Okay.
blew up big. And I saw them at Summer Slaughter. But I believe I first tour I saw you on was the Chelsea Grin tour back in
Mhm.
2017, and of
Mhm.
course I last saw you on Lorna Shore. Sure. So
Mhm.
like you play with so many different variety of bands. Do you ever notice like a different like crowd reaction depending on the tours that you're on?
Sometimes, I feel like we usually have I guess it depends. I don't know. We've really only toured with like death metal, deathcore bands, so it's kind of like the same scene mostly, even though we have toured with a lot of different bands. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess not so much different, maybe a little here and there, but the energy is always good.
All
I guess I
right.
should say.
All right. All right. And could you see yourself playing with like different bands in the future?
Yeah, that's what we hope to do with with this new album, with incorporating singing. Again, it's not that we did it to be more marketable. It's just that it's when you do sing and get more melodic and open and stuff like that. It can open up the doors for maybe we can tour with some bigger metalcore bands. We're not just stuck in the death metal world. So that'd be great. I would love to be the band that can tour with Cannibal Corpse, but can also tour with like Architects and Periphery, and bands like
Yeah.
that too. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Funny enough, since you mentioned Cannibal, I mean, they before you joined the band, they were actually on Summer Slaughter 2016 with.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but anyway, and the final question I want to ask you is, and it's probably the hardest one, so you get ready.
Okay, yeah.
How do you know when a song is done?
Oh boy. It's that's a very philosophical question. So, um, it's maybe there's a couple things like objective things that I could say, but it's you just kind of get a feeling that it's like, all right, this is there, and now like me, producing this album, being a producer and stuff, it's like when I'm mixing a song or whatever, it's like I can usually tell if I've listened through it a couple times and I didn't hear anything else that it needs or anything like that, that's usually when it's done. So yeah, I can't answer it concretely, but I can
Yeah.
give you a somewhat ambiguous answer to tell you that it feels right. It's like it's got to be right, and when it's right.
Yeah, so
So
it's just a gut feeling.
yeah, in a way, yeah. Mhm.
All right. So before we go, I just want to thank you for this interview. It's just anything else with The Chosen that you would like to promote? I'm looking forward to seeing you in Atlanta with the Fit for an Autopsy, Ingested, Signs of the Swarm tours. Just anything else with the release of The Chosen that you would like to promote?
Yeah, January 14th, we'll be on tour. Enjoy, get ready for roller coaster of a new record from us, and yeah, I hope you dig it. So,
Yeah. So anyway, Gabe from Enterprise Earth, we'll see you next time.
bye bye.